Okay. Oh, crap. Well, if you're going to be clumsy, it's good to be prepared. So now I have some questions for you guys. How many of you ever been clumsy before? Huh? That's what I thought. How many of you know that one friend who's always tripping over themselves? Yeah. How many of you are that friend? It's me right here. So, in the wise words of Daniel Radcliffe, I'm not clumsy, I'm accident prone. And I find this to be very encouraging because if a great actor like Daniel can move effortlessly in his movies, then why can't I when I'm just walking down the street? So, McAdams in his article, Fracking Clumsiness, states this perfectly, saying that what causes clumsiness is essentially a moment of distraction. And for me, I find that when I'm doing something I love, I can focus much more clearly on what I am doing. So, I'm going to tell you today why some people are clumsy, some tips to not be so clumsy, and how clumsiness can affect you. So first up, why are some people clumsy? Well, as we've already discussed, what causes clumsiness is essentially a moment of distraction. So, we can gather that people that are less clumsy tend to focus on everything they're doing. Now, to me, that sounds exhausting, so I don't do that. A 2007 University of Delaware study that found that people who are clumsy are born with their clumsiness, so it's something to do with your DNA or your genetic makeup. They surveyed athletes who suffered from ACL injuries and found that the ones that did suffer from ACL injuries had significantly lower visual and coordination perception. They also scored lower on memory and verbal tests. These athletes consisted of people who played several different sports, including baseball, track, football, soccer, tennis. So we know it was people that are considered to be athletic and not just your average Joe. And it was also mainly non-contact sports that related to clumsiness, so which makes sense with errors in coordination. Now some of you might be freaking out saying, great, so I'm stuck with my clumsiness. But I'm now going to give you a couple of tips to help you reduce your clumsiness. According to Janet Seller, in order to reduce your likeliness of being clumsy, you must first make sure you've had your eyes checked, are sober, and exercise regularly. You then want to adopt an exercise regime to help you be aware of your mindfulness and reduce anxiety. So whether you find these from a therapist or a quick internet search, anything will help you. But I'm going to go ahead and give you some tips of your own so you don't have to do the research yourself. Now this may seem obvious, but the first tip is be aware of your surroundings. Most people that don't do this are very clumsy. Another obvious one is keep your area clean. Keep your house clean, reduce clutter. It's going to make you have less things to trip over and make it less likely for you to be clumsy. However, for some people, a simple change in footwear is all they need to be less clumsy. But still, the most important tip is to reduce your anxiety. Get your deadlines done, talk to your girlfriend, figure out your family matters, everything like that. So now that I've given you some tips on how to be less clumsy, let's get into why you need to follow these tips to make sure that you are less clumsy. Well, for older people, a simple fall can result in death, a broken bone, even brain trauma. And the Encyclopedia of Clinical Neuropsychology states that the ultimate in clumsiness is actually losing your balance and falling down. So, like I said, this may not affect younger people, but for older people, this can be a very big problem. I have personal experience with this because my great-grandma, when she was 95, fell down and has been in a home ever since. This didn't affect just her, it affected the entire family because we had to take care of her house, her home, we had to provide her with money for her financial stay at the hospital and her home, and we still are to this day and still having trouble with that. Now, what this is an extreme case of clumsiness and that also resulted from several other mental disorders, it can be just as common clumsiness can be just as deadly. So, for example, if a clumsy person were working in construction, a simple drop of a tool could result in significant damage to property or others. Another example would be even someone that's experienced as a doctor, because for the obvious reason they literally have someone else's life in their hands. So while these are occupations, clumsiness can be just as bad if you're doing everyday tasks like walking down the street or driving to work. So now that you know how clumsiness can affect people, I hope that we all can be a bit more mindful of how we can be clumsy. So today I've talked to you about why some people are clumsy, how you can be less clumsy, and how clumsiness can affect you. So I hope that we can figure out now how to be less clumsy and focus on everything in life and make the world a better place.